In this video, I want to show you one of the cool things that you can do with keyframes in AfterFX. We're going to be showing you two different techniques of working with keyframes, which is being able to scale a number of different keyframes at once, or using what's called roving keyframes. So to begin, let's take a look at what we've got. We've got a simple solid, and I've gone ahead and hit the P key to get to the position keyframes, and I've created a first keyframe. This allows me to go forward to any other time and start to create new keyframes. And I think that's about good. I've created 5 different keyframes total, and what I want to do is I'm going to zoom in and show you what's going on here. Notice that I have all these dots. These dots represent how close the keyframes are to each other. You can see right now that I have them fairly close, then they get spread across a little bit more, and then they get really close. And that's because the speed of the animation so happens that each frame we have the objects actually closer or farther apart, of course, depending on how fast they're moving. Well, one of the things that I want to do is I want to basically keep exactly what I have here, but instead of this animation taking about 10 seconds long, I want it to take about 15 seconds long. So what you need to do is, you would think maybe if I just drag out this one keyframe, but that doesn't work. So what you do is you select all the keyframes and then hold down the Alt key. And when you hold down the Alt key, it says treat all these keyframes as one big group, so that as I move one of them, all of them will respond the same way. And you can actually click on the keyframes in the middle as well, but it will not rescale the animation. If you click on the outer keyframes, and you can see they look just a little bit different, you'll actually be scaling that animation. So I can take it back to 0 or so, and I'll leave it there at 15 seconds. Now, the other thing that I want to look at is actually making it so that I have a consistent speed, because you can see that we don't have a consistent speed, especially at the beginning of this animation. So instead of using keyframes this way, I'm going to select the inside keyframes, right-click, and choose Rove Across Time. This will remap these keyframes so that we have a consistent speed for the animation, and you'll see that it's moved those keyframes to a different time. Now all we have are the 2 outside keyframes for us to position where we want in order to get this animation to change length. And what will happen is those keyframes in between will rove across the time that it takes for these 2 outer keyframes. So that's a really cool thing. Well, this rove across time is important because there's a special technique that I wanted to show you that uses rove across time. And that's when you copy and paste motion paths from Illustrator into AfterFX. So I'm going to get rid of that solid and make a new solid. And this time I'm going to scale it down a little bit again. Now, in order to bring up the position, I hit the P key. And let's go to Illustrator and see what we've got. Right now I've got a little star which I could bring in, but I can create all sorts of different types of paths, such as even spiral paths. And if you've never used paths in Illustrator this way, you can hit the up arrow and down arrow, and you can hold down the Control or Alt key to be able to edit the way that that path shows, which is really great. Anyway, I now have this spiral path, and I'm going to copy that from Illustrator, go into AfterFX, select the position keyframe. Right now there's not a keyframe, but at least I'm selected on position. You can see it's yellow, and now we paste. And what it's done is for 2 seconds it's pasted an animation. Now for some reason it's pasted what I had selected before, which was the star, and that's because for some reason AfterFX and Illustrator are not talking well with each other today. So I might delete those and see what happens if I paste it again, and unfortunately it is remembering the star, so we'll just go on with that. But you can see that it's pasted that animation, or that path as an animation, and I can, of course, with the roving keyframes, change how long that animation happens. Now there's one other thing that we can do. I'm going to double click on the path itself, on that object, And the cool thing we can do here is we can actually paste the shape that we have in Illustrator as a mask for that particular solid. Maybe it'll let me see that footage item now, but it doesn't really want to. You can see that I've pasted that as a mask on that object, and now that mask is moving around that animation. So that's pretty cool what you can do. And of course, you can go and add something like a rotation that would happen over the same amount of time as well. And you can do a pretty quick animation, just like that. And that's pretty much the end of scaling keyframes and roving keyframes. Thanks.